Have you been tasked to grow your product? Does your manager often say you need to think outside the box, like what else can we do? Or do you yourself think that, I need to do something revolutionary for this product? So if your answer is a yes to all these questions, you might want to hear what I say next, so stay tuned. Now in this scenario, what would you ideally do? Where would you ideally start? So they would jump right into something called as competitive analysis. Well, yes, that's partially true. We will need to do competitive analysis, but what if there are 10 other companies building similar products out there? Will you do the in-depth competitive analysis for all the 10, or will you start with only the ones those are chosen? What is the goal of competitive analysis? So that's the question that you've got to ask yourself, because competitive analysis is not about the number of competitors you research on. It's about the handful of competitors that you research on, and which will help you gain the valuable insights and hence drive the strategy forward. So a product which is just getting into the market versus a product which has been there in market for several years and it's starting to see the decline, the strategies are going to be vastly different for both of these. So as a product manager, you need to first think about that as opposed to thinking about what you need to do. You have to think why you need to do that. And how do you think about why you need to do that? There's something called as product life cycle. That is where you need to start off with. You have to start thinking, yes, competitive analysis is the byproduct of it. That's right. That's why I said it's partially true. But you first need to understand which stage of the product life cycle is your product in, because the strategies are going to vary hugely when it comes to each and every stage. So product life cycle, acronym PLC, as the name suggests, it's the stages that a product goes through, starting from its introduction in the market eventually until it ceases decline. It's basically a framework which is designed to understand and manage the life cycle of product over its whole lifespan. Now, as you can see here, there are 4 main stages of product life cycle, right? So I hope you get what I'm trying to say. You have to think about what research you need to do, what analysis you need to do after you've identified what stage is your product in, right? Is your product in introduction stage? Is your product in decline stage? Is your product in growth stage and stuff like that? Because once you understand what stage is your product in, the analysis or the research or the any next steps that you take to get something out of your research will hugely vary. Now just look at the diagram and sit back and think, if you knew what stage your product is in or what stage your company or your business is in, would you be well equipped to answer questions like what sort of competitive analysis should I do? What are the pricing strategies which will apply here? What should the go-to-market strategy be, right? So would you be better equipped to answer these questions looking at this diagram and being aware of what stage you are in? Because the challenges that there are at each of these stages is very different from each other, and that's why the tactics that you apply on top of it are very different for a product manager. So I think it's very important for a product manager to look at it from a higher level. Now if you're convinced enough that why it's important, let's look at what all those 4 stages are. Now the stage 1, which is the introduction, quite obvious. When a product is new, this is the stage it is in. It's the introduction stage wherein the product is just getting out in the market in the hands of the customers. There are a lot of investments being done on the research and marketing and the distribution and stuff like that. Sales are obviously very low at this point because it's all about generating the awareness of that product in the market, and this is what the introduction stage is. Now the stage number 2 is growth stage. It's a stage wherein the product starts gaining acceptance and popularity amongst its customers. Sales is increasing, profitability is increasing, and everybody is feeling really good about it, that the product is growing to the stage wherein we earlier expected it to be. But with all that happiness comes competitors. Now you are successful in the market. There are going to be a lot of other competitors who also entered the market, and hence there is a lot of competition for your own product. Now at this stage, companies often invest in marketing and product improvement with the idea that they want to gain the maximum market share when it comes to solving this particular problem. So this stage is called a growth stage. It has its own pros and cons, as you can see. Now the third stage is maturity. The maturity stage is categorized by plateau in the sales growth. Now what that means is that the product has reached its highest level of market penetration. The competition is intense. Obviously, after growth stage, there are a lot of competitors who are maybe doing better job at solving a similar problem for people. Now prices either are constant, they are stable, or they could probably decline because of that rising competition. Now companies here, their main focus is maintaining sales. Their main focus is maintaining market market share, improving the product focus, improving the product features, or launching variations, all to sustain the sales and profitability. At this stage, companies are just thinking that, whatever I'm getting, let's at least keep getting that and it doesn't decline. So this is the maturity stage. Now the fourth stage and the last stage is decline. This is where the product enters the decline, like the sales start to decline. But why in what scenarios could that happen? A lot of them, like customer preferences could change. There could be technological advancements and the company or the product did not catch up to that. Or the most obvious one, there is a better product out there in market, as I said earlier, which is solving the same problem in a more efficient way than you have done it. So that is why it has eventually led to the decline of the product. Now in this scenario, companies, they either could just discontinue the product, or they could be spending very minimal efforts on the product to extend its lifetime. All right, let's just let it be live for another year or so. We're not going to spend any engineering effort on it, but let's just spend another year on it so that people who are still using it, let them use it. Some products, they could have a prolonged decline, like there could be multiple years that it's declining and no one is focusing on that, or it could be a rapid one. At like instantly, the executives had thought, from the past 2-3 months of data, I'm not seeing any benefits out of this product. Let's just cut it off and let's just get rid of it, end of life it, whatever you want to call it. So that is a stage wherein the decline of a product actually happens. Now I hope that as product managers, this has given you quite a good insight into what are the different stages of a product and how you have got to think about all of these stages and all the strategies and tactics that you apply in your day-to-day as a product manager, how it really depends on what stage your product is in. So be aware of all these things and then make the decisions, because it's really going to help you. As I already mentioned it early on in the video, tactics that you're going to apply to a product which is in maturity stages are going to be very different from tactics that you're going to apply when it is in growth stage. So that's why be aware of it before making any decisions. Do let me know via comments if this is what you're already doing or you have never thought about it, as I would really love to know. So until then, I am going to see you all next week. Bye bye.